Have you ever woken up with that strange feeling that the world is collapsing around you? Maybe it was after a night of poor sleep, interrupted by phone notifications bearing alarming headlines about escalating conflict between Iran and Israel. Or perhaps it was one morning when, still half asleep, you scrolled through social media and were bombarded with war images, apocalyptic analyses of humanity's future, and heated debates among people who seemed to have entirely lost the ability for civilized discourse. In that moment, something inside you may have whispered a disturbing question: how is it possible to maintain sanity and inner peace when the entire world seems to have gone mad? This question is not new. It has echoed through the centuries in the minds of philosophers, mystics, and ordinary people confronted with periods of intense historical turmoil. Socrates asked it during the Peloponnesian Wars. Marcus Aurelius contemplated it during the barbarian invasions of the Roman Empire. Gandhi experienced it during India's struggle for independence. And now, you ask it as you navigate the complexity of an interconnected world where a geopolitical crisis on the other side of the planet can instantly alter the emotional state of billions. But here is a truth few understand: your ability to maintain inner peace during global crises is not merely a matter of personal well-being, it is a cosmic responsibility. Each time you choose to remain centered while the world disintegrates around you, you contribute to a morphogenetic field of stability that can influence people you'll never meet, in places you may never visit. You are not a passive victim of global circumstances, you are an active co-creator of humanity's collective reality. This guide is not a collection of New Age platitudes or superficial relaxation techniques. It is a detailed map, rooted in the teachings of history's greatest spiritual masters and validated by the latest findings in neuroscience and quantum physics, to consciously navigate the storms of human existence. You will discover how your mind reacts neurologically to global crises, how the collective energy field influences your personal manifestations, and, most importantly, how to develop the extraordinary ability to remain at peace regardless of external circumstances. In the upcoming sections, you will embark on a transformative journey that begins with understanding how your body and mind respond to news of war and culminates in mastering advanced techniques to radiate peace even amid world chaos. You will learn to distinguish between automatic reactions and conscious responses, uncover the hidden power of your personal vibration in the global quantum field, and understand how external crises are always disguised opportunities for evolutionary leaps in consciousness. Prepare to question everything you believed about your relationship with world events. Prepare to discover a power you may never have imagined possessing. And above all, prepare to become part of the solution to the crisis of consciousness our civilization faces, not through external activism or political debate, but through the silent revolution that occurs when an awakened soul chooses to shine light amid darkness. Have you noticed how your body reacts when you watch news about the Iran-Israel war? Maybe you feel a tightness in your chest, tension in your shoulders, or an odd sensation in your stomach. That's no coincidence, it's your vibrational field picking up waves of fear and chaos spreading across the planet like invisible ripples in the ocean of collective consciousness. Even though you're thousands of kilometers from the conflict, your subconscious mind processes this information as a direct threat to your survival. Each explosion, each war cry, each image of destruction sends signals straight to your primitive nervous system. Neville Goddard always said we are living antennae, capturing frequencies from our environment. The Middle East crisis isn't just geopolitical, it's an energetic tsunami affecting every human connected to the planetary grid. What many fail to understand is that our minds can't distinguish between a real threat and a perceived one conveyed through screens. When you see war images, your primitive brain activates the same survival mechanisms it would if you were physically in danger. That's why after watching news about Israel and Iran, you feel exhausted, anxious, or with that sense of impending doom. Your adrenal gland doesn't know you're safe on your sofa, it just gets the maximum alert signal and floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline. Eckhart Tolle masterfully explains how the ego feeds on crises, creating a false sense of importance through collective drama. It seems our lower mind finds twisted satisfaction in participating in global suffering, despite harming us energetically. Media, consciously or not, amplifies this phenomenon exponentially. Each headline is meticulously crafted to capture your attention through fear, urgency, and looming catastrophe. Tension between Iran and Israel reaches critical point. War may erupt at any moment. Middle East crisis threatens world peace. These aren't just information, they're neurological triggers that keep you glued to the screen. David Hawkins, in his research on levels of consciousness, showed that low frequencies like fear, anger, and despair propagate much faster than high frequencies. Media discovered this formula decades ago and uses it as a money-making machine, selling your attention to advertisers while your vibration plummets to pure survival mode. The result? Millions live in constant alertness, even when they could be at peace. But here's the little-known secret: you don't have to be a passive victim of this energetic manipulation. Each time you consciously choose not to be swept up in collective hysteria, you exercise a powerful spiritual muscle, the vibratory discernment muscle. Joe Dispenza calls this breaking the emotional addiction to drama. It's like learning to swim against a turbulent current. At first it seems impossible, but with practice, you develop the ability to maintain a stable frequency even amid chaos. Think of it as creating an invisible force field around your aura. The waves of fear crash against you, but they cannot penetrate your energetic shield. Ramana Maharshi used to say true power isn't controlling the external world, but remaining unperturbed in any storm. The point isn't to completely ignore world events, that would be spiritual naivete. It's to develop the capacity to observe global events without absorbing their toxic emotional charge. It's the difference between being a sponge and being a mirror. A sponge indiscriminately absorbs everything and becomes heavy, dirty, saturated. A mirror reflects everything it sees while staying clean and intact. When you watch the Iran-Israel news, you can choose to be the mirror, recognizing the situation, feeling compassion for those involved, but not allowing the war vibration to penetrate your personal energy field. Gurdjieff taught that this is the difference between an awakened human and a sleeping one, witnessing without identifying, feeling without getting lost. You might wonder, if I don't get drawn into these conflicts, am I being insensitive or detached? That's a powerful question deserving an equally powerful answer. True compassion doesn't come from shared suffering, it comes from radiated peace. When you maintain your vibration amid global chaos, you offer the greatest service to humanity. You become like a lighthouse on a stormy night. You don't help ships by sinking with them, but by keeping your light stable and bright. Teresa of Avila, in her mystical writings, spoke about how one person's inner peace can invisibly influence hundreds of others. Your decision not to tune into the war frequency is paradoxically your greatest contribution to world peace. And this brings us to a deeper understanding of how your individual energy connects with the collective field. Imagine humanity is connected by an invisible energy network, like neurons in a colossal brain. Every thought, emotion, vibration you emit propagates through this network, influencing the whole. Lynn McTaggart, in her research on the zero-point field, scientifically demonstrated that a unified quantum field connects all living things. When millions focus on the Iran-Israel war, feeding fear, anger, and worry, they create what esoteric masters call an egregore, a collective thought form that takes on a life of its own. It's like collective fear becoming an energetic entity floating in the planet's psychic atmosphere, affecting everyone tuned into that frequency. This dense field of negative energy is not mere theory, it tangibly affects your ability to manifest personal desires. The law of attraction, as taught by Esther Hicks and Abraham, operates through vibrational frequencies. You attract what aligns with your dominant vibration. But here's the problem: when the collective field is saturated with fear, your personal vibration must work much harder to stay elevated. It's like trying to play a soft melody on a violin while a heavy rock band plays next door. Your tune gets drowned out. Rhonda Byrne, in The Secret, explains that negative thoughts are denser and stickier than positive ones. When you're immersed in collective negativity, your positive thoughts require far more energy to manifest. That's why during global crises, many feel their manifestations don't work or feel blocked. The reality: they're swimming against a much stronger energetic current. Bob Proctor used to say most people don't realize their thoughts aren't solely theirs, they are influenced by the collective mental field in which they're immersed. When you turn on the TV and see tension mounting between Israel and Iran, you're not just receiving information, you're connecting to a morphogenetic field of fear that millions have helped create. Rupert Sheldrake's research on morphogenetic fields showed how thought and behavior patterns strengthen through collective repetition. The more people think the same way about something, the easier it becomes for others to think the same. It's like grooves in the collective mind. If you're unconscious, your mind automatically follows those grooves. During crises, these grooves deepen drastically, creating energetic black holes that drain everyone who approaches. Madame Blavatsky, in her theosophical teachings, spoke of multiple planes of existence coexisting simultaneously. The astral plane, where collective emotions reside, becomes particularly dense during wars and conflicts. It's in this plane that the emotions of millions mix to create energetic storms perceptible to sensitive individuals. When you try to manifest positive change in your life during global crises, you must cross this dense astral field with your intention. It's like taking off in a plane during a storm, not impossible, but requiring exponentially more energy and skill than during calm weather. Manly P. Hall explained that ancient initiates developed specific techniques to create energetic isolation chambers around themselves, enabling them to maintain pure vibrations amid collective chaos. These techniques were kept secret, not for selfish reasons, but because they demanded a level of mental discipline few were willing to cultivate. The good news is that once you understand this dynamic, you can use it to your advantage. Bruce Lipton's epigenetic research shows consciousness can literally reprogram our biology. When you consciously choose not to participate in the collective fear field, you create an alternative bubble of reality around yourself. Deepak Chopra calls this a quantum leap in consciousness. You're shifting to a different line of reality than the majority. It's like changing channels on the cosmic television. While others watch the war channel, you tune into the peace channel. Nikola Tesla, profoundly mystical as well as scientific, said everything in the universe is vibration and frequency. When you master your own frequency, you choose which program to watch on the television of reality. But here's the deepest secret: you don't need to wait for the world to change before you begin to vibrate differently. With every moment you choose peace over war, you create fissures in the collective fear field. Gurdjieff taught that a small group of awakened individuals can influence all humanity through their conscious vibration. You don't just protect your personal manifestation, you contribute to creating a new morphogenetic field of higher possibilities. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room. You not only see more clearly, but others can see too. And when you master the art of staying vibrationally stable despite external chaos, something extraordinary happens. You realize true peace isn't the absence of conflict, but a state of being that transcends any circumstance. The kind of peace most people seek is merely a temporary respite, a pause between crises, an interval between one war and the next. But true peace, the kind discovered by spiritual masters over centuries, is something entirely different. It is a state of being independent of external circumstances, a vibrational frequency so elevated it remains immutable even when the world burns around you. Rumi, the great mystic poet, described this peace as, "At the eye of the hurricane, while life's winds rage violently, there exists a silent, perfectly still center." When you watch the escalating Iran-Israel conflict, you can choose to observe from that center of inner peace instead of being swept away by the emotional turbulence these events generate. David Hawkins measured that the vibration of peace resonates at around 600 Hz on his consciousness scale, while fear vibrates at a mere 100 Hz. That difference isn't just quantitative, it's the divide between living as an empowered human being or a victim of circumstances. Eckhart Tolle revolutionized modern understanding of peace when he said it's not something you find, you are it. Peace is your natural state, masked by layers of mental conditioning and automatic emotional reactions developed over a lifetime. It's like a crystal-clear lake covered by surface waves. Those waves, your worry thoughts about war, crisis, make noise and create turbulence, but beneath them lies perfect stillness that was never disturbed. When you learn to dive into that inner depth, you access that peace anytime, regardless of external conditions. Ramana Maharshi would sit in deep silence for hours, not to escape reality, but because he had discovered silence as the source of all wisdom and power. During the most intense global crises, when news bombards your mind with conflict images, you can choose to dive into that interior silence and emerge completely renewed. What happens in your energetic field when you access this peaceful state is absolutely extraordinary. Jonathan Goldman, an expert in sound healing, found that when a person enters deep states of peace, their vibrational frequency not only rises, it becomes contagious. It's as if you become a cosmic tuning fork, emitting a pure, harmonious note that triggers resonance in surrounding frequencies. Imagine being in a room full of people tense about war, and just through your presence, the tension begins to ease gradually. This is not New Age fantasy, it is applied quantum physics. Lynn McTaggart documented hundreds of cases where one person's peaceful intention measurably altered entire groups' energetic fields. When you cultivate inner peace during global crises, you literally broadcast a frequency capable of neutralizing negativity around you. The most powerful technique to access this elevated peace is what Neville Goddard called sacred silence, deliberate quietude where you fully disconnect from the external world and reconnect with your inner divine essence. It's not a typical meditation that empties the mind, but an active communion with the source of peace within you. Here's a practical method: dedicate 20 minutes each morning, before checking any news about Israel, Iran, or global crises. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Instead of trying to think of nothing, imagine yourself as a being of pure light radiating peace to the planet. Visualize golden waves of tranquility emanating from your heart and spreading worldwide. Maintain this visualization until you feel a tangible shift in your inner state, a sense of expansion, lightness, and connection to something greater. When you open your eyes, you'll be vibrating on a completely different frequency, shielded from external negativity. G.I. Gurdjieff taught that humans require 3 types of nourishment: physical, emotional, and mental. Most people constantly feed on toxic emotions and negative thoughts through media, social networks, and drama-filled conversations. When you consciously choose to feed on peace, via uplifting music, inspirational books, constructive conversations, and moments of silence, you literally change your body's chemical biochemistry. Joe Dispenza's MRI studies showed that prolonged peaceful states alter neural structures, creating new pathways that make accessing these states easier in the future. It's like working out a muscle: the more you practice peace, the stronger and more stable it becomes. Teresa of Avila, the great Christian mystic, described this process as building an inner castle, a sacred refuge within your consciousness that no external storm can penetrate. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of peace as a vibrational frequency is its manifestational power. When you are truly at peace, you not only feel better, you become a magnet for experiences, people, and opportunities resonating at that same elevated frequency. Abraham, channeled by Esther Hicks, explains that peace is the vibrational state where manifestation occurs with the least resistance. It's as though the universe recognizes your inner peace as a signal that you are ready to receive blessings. During global crises, when most people are contracted in fear, those maintaining inner peace often attract unique opportunities unnoticed by others. This is not spiritual selfishness, it's cosmic alignment. And when you master the art of remaining peaceful regardless of external circumstances, you discover something even greater: the ability to consciously choose your response to each situation, rather than reacting automatically. Every morning when you wake, you face a fundamental choice that will define the quality of your entire day. Will you react to the world, or transcend it? This choice becomes even more critical during periods of intense global turmoil, like the current Iran-Israel conflict. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and renowned psychiatrist, discovered something revolutionary in concentration camps: even in the most extreme circumstances, there exists a sacred space between stimulus and response, and in that space resides our freedom of choice. When you pick up your phone in the morning and see alarming headlines about the Middle East crisis, there's a microscopic moment where you can choose: Will you absorb that war energy like a sponge, or observe it as a neutral witness? That seemingly simple choice is actually the difference between living as an empowered human being or a puppet of external circumstances. Gurdjieff called this self-work, the capacity to observe yourself reacting and consciously choose a different response. Reaction is an automatic, primal mechanism fueled by fear and survival needs. When you react to crisis news, your nervous system cannot differentiate between a real threat and a perceived one from media. Your body goes into fight or flight mode, releasing cortisol and adrenaline, speeding up your heart and reducing rational thinking. It's as though your biology holds you hostage. Joe Dispenza explains that in this reactive state, you lose access to the higher brain centers responsible for creativity, intuition, and conscious creation. You literally become less intelligent, less capable of positive change. Transcendence, on the other hand, is a conscious choice to rise above circumstances, maintain a broad perspective, and keep your vibration stable. It's like choosing to be an eagle soaring high and seeing the big picture rather than a rat stuck in the maze. Eckhart Tolle describes this as conscious presence, the ability to be fully present without identifying with the unfolding drama around you. The power of transcendence doesn't lie in denying or ignoring reality, but in choosing from what level of consciousness you engage with it. Ramana Maharshi said, "The world is a mirror of your mind. Change your mind and the world changes." When you transcend the need to react to every Iran-Israel headline, you're not being indifferent, you're choosing to be useful at a higher level. It's the difference between a panicked firefighter and a calm one who, because they maintain composure, can save more lives. David Hawkins's research found that a person vibrating at the level of peace can neutralize the negativity of thousands vibrating at lower levels. This means your choice to transcend rather than react is literally a service to humanity. You are not escaping the world's problems, you are empowering yourself to contribute more effectively to solutions. Here's a practical technique you can use right now. Create what Bruce Lipton calls a conscious pause between stimulus and response. Every time you encounter troubling news, war, crisis, or anything that normally triggers an automatic reaction, pause for exactly 30 seconds. In those 30 seconds, take 3 deep breaths and ask yourself, which version of me do I want to be right now? The one that reacts with fear or the one that responds with wisdom? Neville Goddard taught we have multiple versions of ourselves existing simultaneously on different reality levels, and we can choose which version to activate each moment. One version of you panics at war news, another remains centered and radiates peace. The conscious decision of which version to activate determines not only how you feel, but the kind of reality you attract. Tesla knew that, to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and your choice to transcend rather than react is literally choosing a frequency. Mastery in this art develops through daily practice and non-judgmental observation. Manly P. Hall explained that ancient initiates spent years cultivating the higher mind, the ability to watch one's thoughts and emotions like clouds drifting through consciousness. You can develop this by starting small. Observe automatic reactions in everyday situations, traffic, a slow line, a tense conversation. Each time you succeed in creating a pause between stimulus and response, you strengthen your transcendence muscle. Gurdjieff said most people live asleep, mechanically reacting to everything around them. Awakening begins when you develop the capacity to witness your reactions and consciously choose another response. It's like being both actor and director of your life's play. You can pause at any time and choose a new interpretation of the same role. The outcome of this consistent practice is extraordinary. You discover a power you never knew you had, the power to influence your reality through the quality of your response to circumstances. Deepak Chopra calls this responding instead of reacting. When you respond consciously, you create from a place of power. When you react automatically, you are created by circumstances. During a global crisis like rising Middle East tensions, this distinction becomes even more critical. Millions are reacting with fear, anger, and desperation, creating a morphogenetic field of negativity across the planet. When you choose to transcend, you literally create a fissure in that field, opening possibilities for others to choose higher paths too. Your individual transcendence isn't selfish, it's a cosmic service. And this ability to witness without absorbing, to remain present without identifying with the drama, naturally leads you to discover even more specific techniques to maintain elevated vibration in any situation. Breath is your most powerful and immediate tool to transform your inner state, especially when the world seems to be collapsing. The specific technique known as 4-7-8 breathing can reprogram your nervous system in under 2 minutes. Here's how it works. Inhale through the nose for a count of 4, hold your breath for 7, exhale through the mouth for 8. Repeat this cycle 4 times. Dr. Andrew Weil, who popularized this method, discovered that it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the calming and regenerative system. When you're watching disturbing news about the Iran-Israel conflict and feel your heart racing, this technique can bring you back to center in minutes. Joe Dispenza explains that conscious breath control sends a safety signal to your brain, allowing access to higher states of consciousness. It's like having an emotional reset button you can press anytime, anywhere, without anyone noticing. Neville Goddard developed a silence technique specifically for chaos, which he called the Sabbath state, a sacred time to disconnect fully from the outer world and reconnect with your divine inner self. During periods of global crisis, this practice becomes vital. Dedicate at least 15 minutes daily, ideally at the same time, to enter this state. Turn off all devices, sit comfortably, and mentally repeat, "I am peace, I radiate peace, I am a channel of peace in the world." Don't force thoughts, just let your mind settle naturally. Goddard taught that in deep silence, you not only shelter yourself from external negativity but also broadcast waves of peace into humanity's collective field. It's like becoming a radio station transmitting on the frequency of peace, unaware of who's receiving the signal, but knowing it lands where needed. Madame Blavatsky explained that entering true spiritual silence makes you a channel for cosmic forces working for the greater good of humanity. Guided visualization is another extraordinarily powerful tool to create a protective shield around your vibrational field. Here's a specific technique. Imagine your aura as a bubble of golden light extending about 3 meters around you. Visualize this bubble being made of a special material that allows positive energy in, but any negativity simply bounces off and dissolves. Now, see a gentle silver light raining inside the bubble, continuously cleansing any dense energy that may have adhered. Lynn McTaggart documented cases where similar visualizations measurably altered electromagnetic fields around people. During intense global turbulence, like the current Middle East crisis, this visualization isn't just mental, it's spiritual technology that creates a tangible energetic barrier. Manly P. Hall taught initiates used similar techniques to protect themselves while navigating energetically hostile environments. A revolutionary practice few know is what Jonathan Goldman calls toning, using the voice consciously to realign your vibration. When you feel unsettled by war news, find a private space and emit the sound AAAAHHH for at least 30 seconds, letting it resonate from your heart, not your throat. This sound corresponds to the heart chakra frequency and instantly elevates your vibration. Then emit the sound OM for another 30 seconds, focusing on the vibration in your forehead. Rumi and other Sufi mystics used such techniques to transcend ordinary consciousness and access divine union. The beauty of this method is you can use it inwardly, even in public places, without vocalizing it, and the effect is nearly as powerful. Tesla knew everything in the universe is vibration, and when you consciously shift your vibration through sound, you're literally altering your quantum reality. Deepak Chopra revolutionized meditation with what he called primordial sound meditation, using personalized mantras based on your birth date to access deep peace. Here's a simplified version you can use instantly. During stress from global crises, repeat mentally the mantra, So Hum, meaning, I am that, in Sanskrit. Inhale thinking, So, exhale thinking, Hum, for at least 5 minutes. This mantra aligns you with universal consciousness, reminding your subconscious you are more than temporary fears. David Hawkins measured that Sanskrit mantras carry specific vibrational frequencies that instantly elevate consciousness. It's like holding a secret code unlocking higher states of being. The most advanced, and perhaps most powerful, technique is what Gurdjieff called self-remembering, the ability to be simultaneously present in external events and aware of your internal state. During war-related conversations, while scrolling through disturbing news, or tempted into debating Israel and Iran, practice splitting your attention. Part of your consciousness observes the external scene while another part monitors your internal reactions. Continuously ask yourself, how am I feeling now? What energy am I emitting? Am I contributing to peace or chaos? This cultivates what Eckhart Tolle calls the inner witness, the part of your consciousness that remains calm and centered no matter what's happening. Ramana Maharshi said that when you develop this self-observation ability, you find an inner core untouched by any external storm. From that serene core, you can truly influence your surroundings, radiating peace so powerful it can reach hearts and minds even from afar. You likely have no idea of the extraordinary power you carry within. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every intention you form does not remain confined to your mind, they propagate through the quantum field like waves in an invisible ocean, touching and influencing everything around in ways science is only beginning to comprehend. Lynn McTaggart, through her intention experiments, documented how small groups focusing on peace have measurably reduced violence rates in entire cities. Imagine, while you are at home cultivating inner peace amid disturbing news about Iran and Israel, your peaceful vibration is literally traveling through the morphogenetic field and touching people on the other side of the planet. Rupert Sheldrake called this morphic resonance, the ability for patterns of consciousness to propagate instantly through space and time. You are not an isolated island of awareness, you are a living transmitter, constantly broadcasting your internal frequency to the world around. Quantum physics teaches that conscious observation alters reality at the subatomic level. When you consciously choose to think peaceful thoughts during global crises, you aren't just changing your internal state, you're participating in a cosmic phenomenon ancient mystics intuited but science only now validates. David Bohm, a leading quantum physicist, proposed an implicate order, connecting all things instantaneously. Each moment of genuine peace you cultivate becomes part of this implicate order, contributing to what he called universal coherence. It's like adding a drop of golden ink to the ocean, tiny, yet capable of subtly changing the water's overall hue. Tesla intuited the same when he said to understand the universe, consider energy, frequency, and vibration. Your inner peace isn't only personal, it's a distinct frequency that, once activated, automatically resonates with similar frequencies worldwide. Sheldrake's morphic field theory suggests that when enough people adopt a new behavior or thought pattern, that pattern becomes easier for others to follow. During periods of war and crisis, like the Middle East tension, most people feed the morphic field of fear and division. But when you consciously cultivate peace, you contribute to an alternative morphic field, a field of unity, harmony, and peace. Each person entering that field makes it easier for the next person to tune in. It's like forging a trail through dense forest. The first explorers struggle, but eventually the path becomes a road, then an avenue. Madame Blavatsky taught over a century ago that humanity's evolution depends on courageous individuals who choose elevated frequencies, and who persist even when the masses remain caught in lower patterns. Your decision to maintain inner peace during chaos is not selfish, it's spiritual pioneering. Here's where it becomes truly fascinating. Studies by the HeartMath Institute found the human heart generates an electromagnetic field 60 times greater than the brain's, detectable several meters away. When you are in a state of heart coherence, naturally induced by genuine feelings of peace, gratitude, or compassion, your heart field becomes more coherent and powerful. Now imagine thousands around the world each radiating such coherence while focusing on peace for conflict regions like Israel and Iran. The combined effect of these coherent fields creates what physicists call constructive interference. The waves amplify each other to form a global field of peace perceptible even from a distance. Dan Winter, a sacred geometry specialist, showed that when multiple heart fields achieve coherence simultaneously, they form fractal patterns of energy that propagate instantly through Earth's electromagnetic grid. You literally participate in a global network of peace transmitters. Jonathan Goldman recorded extraordinary cases where groups chanting or meditating together measurably influenced seismic activity, weather patterns, and regional crime rates. During the Gulf War, a group focused on peace in the conflict region, and the results were so significant they were published in respected journals. What does that mean for you? It means every moment you choose peace instead of yielding to collective hysteria during world crises, you are literally casting a vote for a more peaceful future for humanity. Bruce Lipton reminds us we live in a participatory universe, not passive observers, but active co-creators of reality. Your vibration is your cosmic vote on the world you wish to manifest. Manly P. Hall said ancient initiates fully understood this. They saw themselves as guardians of the light, individuals tasked with maintaining high frequencies during collective darkness. The deepest aspect of this cosmic responsibility is realizing you don't need dramatic external action to have a global impact. Every conscious breath, moment of inner silence, choice to respond with love instead of fear sends transformative waves through the quantum field. Rumi said, "You are not just a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." Deepak Chopra reframes this mystical wisdom scientifically, saying individual consciousness and universal consciousness are one reality seen from different perspectives. Amid multiple global crises and our perpetual threat of worldwide conflict, individuals who consciously maintain elevated frequencies become anchor points for planetary transformation. You are not merely protecting your own peace, you are actively participating in humanity's consciousness evolution. This cosmic responsibility naturally leads us to understand how external crises often mirror deep internal transformations occurring in humanity's collective soul. Every major external crisis fundamentally reflects an internal war within humanity's collective consciousness. The Iran-Israel conflict, global geopolitical tensions, widespread polarization, they're all manifestations of an ancient battle occurring within each human being. The struggle between the lower ego that seeks separation and control, and the higher soul yearning for unity and peace. Carl Jung called this the collective shadow, the repressed, denied aspects of the human psyche that inevitably project outward as external conflicts. When you observe rising Middle Eastern tensions, you're seeing humanity struggling with itself, projecting its internal demons onto the world stage. Gurdjieff taught that true war always happens inside each individual, and external wars are merely reflections of the inner conflict between mechanistic consciousness and awakened consciousness. Understanding this is the first step in turning crisis into opportunity for spiritual growth. Eckhart Tolle made a profound observation: crisis is always a disguised opportunity for consciousness evolution. During times of global upheaval like we're witnessing now, something remarkable occurs. People begin to question everything they thought they knew about life, God, and purpose. External wars force an internal confrontation. Millions experience what mystics call the dark night of the soul, a deeply disorienting period where old truths dissolve and new consciousness struggles to emerge. Joe Dispenza explains this neuroscientifically. When the nervous system faces intense external challenges, the brain must rewire itself into more complex, evolutionary patterns. That's why many report spiritual awakenings during or after extreme personal or collective crises. External pressure breaks down rigid personality structures, allowing true essence to surface. David Hawkins found something fascinating in his consciousness research. Intense crises can catapult individuals from low consciousness levels directly into much higher ones, skipping intermediate stages that otherwise take years to traverse. It's as if the intensity of crisis creates a quantum tunnel in spiritual evolution. In today's world, with wars, economic crashes, climate disasters, social upheavals, many souls receive what he called a call to awakening, an irresistible internal push to seek deeper meaning and spiritual connection. Ramana Maharshi faced his own existential crisis at 16 when confronted with death's imminence, a crisis that propelled him directly into enlightenment. He taught that the greatest spiritual transformations arise from facing suffering and impermanence directly. External crisis compels millions to ask, who am I beyond my fears, opinions, control needs? Manly P. Hall taught that humanity cycles through periods where collective consciousness leaps forward, and these leaps are always preceded by apparent chaos and crisis. We are living in exactly such a period now. Old power structures, outdated paradigms, and traditional social systems are disintegrating to make way for something entirely new. Those who consciously recognize and align with this transformation become what he called pioneers of the new era, bridges between the dying old world and the emerging one. Teresa of Avila described this as rebirth in life, the death of the lower personality and birth of the higher personality within the same physical shell. When you stop identifying with the need to pick sides in global drama, Iran versus Israel, left versus right, us versus them, and instead identify with the peace that transcends all divisions, you undergo that mystical rebirth. The spiritual mission of those awakening during crises is to serve as beacons of light amid collective storms. Neville Goddard taught that every awakened person has the responsibility to radiate the frequency of the reality they wish to see manifested. This does not mean preaching or coercing others, it means being a living example of peace despite external conditions. Lynn McTaggart documented what she calls the lighthouse effect. When one person holds a consistent elevated vibration, they naturally inspire others around them to elevate, creating concentric waves of transformation far beyond measurable bounds. In humanity's darkest times throughout history, individuals have arisen to keep the flame of hope and wisdom alive. Madame Blavatsky called them the hierarchy of the awakened, not a formal group, but an invisible network of souls working for humanity's greater good. Your decision to use the current global crisis as a catalyst for spiritual awakening places you automatically within that network. The clearest sign that you're moving from crisis into awakening is when you begin to feel genuine compassion for all parties involved in world conflicts, including those viewed as enemies. Rumi expressed this beautifully: beyond ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. When you can see the Iran-Israel conflict, or any global conflict, as an expression of humanity's collective pain striving to heal, you've transcended the need to take sides and become a healing channel for all. Gurdjieff said a truly awakened person has no enemies, only opportunities to embody unconditional love. This is the hallmark of authentic spiritual awakening, the capacity to keep your heart open even amid apparent evil. Deepak Chopra calls it soul maturity, when you finally see all external dramas as opportunities to choose love, and each choice of love accelerates not just your own evolution but humanity's. From that elevated perspective, you can truly contribute to world peace, not through external activism, but through silently radiating a peace that transcends all understanding. We've reached the end of this extraordinary journey through the sacred territory of inner peace, and if you've truly absorbed the teachings shared, something fundamental has shifted in your relationship with the world. You are no longer the same person who began reading about how the collective vibrational field affects your mind when consuming news of global conflicts. You've become someone who viscerally understands that your inner peace is not spiritual luxury, but a cosmic technology capable of influencing planetary reality in ways science is only beginning to chart. Across these 7 topics, you've uncovered truths most people spend lifetimes grasping. You learned that your reaction to global crises like the Iran-Israel conflict isn't just personal, it's part of a complex energetic dance between your individual consciousness and humanity's morphogenetic field. You grasped that every moment you choose transcendence over automatic reaction, you are literally voting for a more peaceful future for our species. You discovered true compassion doesn't arise from shared suffering, but from consciously radiating elevated frequencies that neutralize collective negativity. More deeply, you unveiled the mystery the world's mystics have safeguarded through millennia. The peace that transcends all understanding isn't something you find out there, it's something you are, hidden behind layers of conditioning and reflexive emotional reactions. When Neville Goddard spoke of assuming the feeling of the desire fulfilled, when Eckhart Tolle taught about presence, when Ramana Maharshi pointed to the I am beyond thought, they were all pointing to this same fundamental truth: you are peace in essence, and your only task now is to remove obstacles obscuring its recognition. The practical techniques you've learned, from 4-7-8 breathing to protective visualization, from sacred silence to toning, aren't mere exercises. They are tools of liberation, empowering you to become an anchoring point for a new planetary possibility. Each time you use them while the world appears aflame, you participate in a grand cosmic experiment, the evolution of human consciousness through courageous individuals choosing awakening amid the collective dream of separation and conflict. The quantum impact of your vibration is not theoretical, it is physics. When you understand your heart field extends meters beyond your body, when you recognize your peace thoughts travel instantly through the morphogenetic field, when you know your choice to maintain coherence during global crises literally shifts Earth's energy grid, you have become a warrior of light in the most profound, scientific sense of the phrase. You are no longer trying to be spiritual, you are functioning as a conscious transmitter of elevated frequencies. Perhaps your most transformative revelation is that all external crises, from geopolitical wars to natural disasters, social upheavals to economic collapses, are expressions of a single core emergency, humanity's identity crisis. We are collectively navigating a planetary, dark night of the soul, where old consciousness structures are collapsing to make way for something radically new. Those who navigate this transformation consciously become agents of a new human era. Your journey, however, is just beginning. Every dawn offers a new opportunity to practice what you've learned. Every disturbing headline invites you to flex your transcendence muscle. Every conversation about global crises becomes a chance to radiate peace rather than absorb drama. Every moment of conscious silence is a tangible contribution to planetary consciousness evolution. Remember Gandhi's words, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Now you understand that even more profoundly. You're not just being the change, you are being the frequency of change, the vibrational field of transformation, the consciousness from which a new world can emerge. Your inner peace isn't an escape from reality, it is the seed of the new reality gestating within apparent chaos. As others remain entranced by dramatic news cycles, you have become a silent guardian of light. As crowds react in fear to global crises, you respond with wisdom from an unshakable center. As media profits from fear, you freely radiate the universe's most precious commodity, peace that transcends understanding. Carry these teachings not as intellectual concepts, but as living truths pulsating in every cell of your being. Practice them not because you must, but because they express your true nature. And always remember, in a world seemingly lost, you have become a living compass pointing ever toward the magnetic north of awakened consciousness. The world needs your light. Humanity awaits your frequency of peace. And the entire cosmos celebrates every moment you choose to be exactly who you have always been, an infinite being of light temporarily playing at being human, but never wholly forgetting your divine identity. The peace you seek, you already are. The light you seek, you already radiate. And the love you long for the world, you already embody. Now go forth and be that living truth in action.